BYU quarterback Jake Retzloff called it the People's Big 12 Championship. So to steal a phrase from the 1990s Attitude Era of the WWE, I'm going to quote one of my favorites. Can you smell what the Alamo Bowl is cooking?
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Hatch, your host here on Locked On Cougars, your resident BYU insider. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day. And as always, thank you to all of you who are everydayers with us right here on your original daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It started today with FanDuel. Your first $5 bet can net you $250 in bonus bets. All you got to do is go to FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, let's dive right in on today's show. We are a day away from the Alamo Bowl, the BYU Cougars, the Colorado Buffaloes. It's Big 12 on Big 12 action, and I, for one, cannot wait to be there in person watching it all go down. I'll be hopping a flight this afternoon to San Antonio, Texas. Looking forward to being there in person in the Alamodome, along with, I'm sure, thousands of you who are also making the pilgrimage to the Alamodome to watch this game go down. Now, notwithstanding the disappointment of BYU missing out on the Big 12 title game, the college football playoff, that whole deal, I think, quite honestly, this is the best bowl scenario BYU could ask for given the circumstances they find themselves in. They get maybe the top program in terms of notoriety right now with Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, Shedeur Sanders, obviously the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter. All those guys on the sideline with the Colorado Buffaloes expected to participate in this game. They reportedly have taken out record amounts of insurance premiums on these players, and for good reason, because you're looking at guys in Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter who are, in my mind, at worst, top 10 picks in this next year's NFL draft. And the bigger point to be made here is they bring a lot of eyeballs. The nice part is on the other sideline, BYU, with its legions of fans, brings a ton of eyeballs in its own right. I am expecting an absolutely raucous atmosphere inside the Alamo Dome, and it may be the highest rated game outside of the college football playoff games in the bowl season. That's how big of a platform this is getting. It's on ABC. It's on linear television. You don't have to have cable. You don't have to have a streaming service. You just got to have rabbit ears on top of your TV, and you can catch this game. It is going to have a reach that's absolutely monumental, and I hope it matches up with the reach that it could get with the ultimate play on the field. I'm looking forward to this game. I think both of these teams, speaking of Colorado and BYU, are very, very happy to be in San Antonio, to be a part of this game. Coach Prime has been talking all week long about what he expects from his players, how he expects them to perform, how he expects them to behave. If you saw that video telling guys if they were caught smoking marijuana, it'd be the last time they did that. He's been pretty sharp with his tongue regarding his players, but he's also been very praiseworthy of BYU. And conversely, BYU's been very praiseworthy of what they expect as they take on the Colorado Buffaloes in this game. I think these are two teams supremely motivated to get it right and finish out their seasons with a win on the ledger. Now, the other side of this is that BYU is going to have a number of guys leaving the program after this game. We talked with Connor Pay on this podcast yesterday. He talked about the fact the legacy and guys like Tyler Batty, Jakob Robinson, what they want to leave. I think you could tell there was a hint of kind of like jealousy in his voice when he was talking about Chase Roberts being able to run it back with BYU for another season. Guys come into these football programs like Connor, spend literally years building up to the level that they are right now. And then just like that, bam, it's over. And that's the crazy thing about this. But the nice part is you get one more game to get it right, to go out there with your teammates, guys you've gotten to know over the years who you frankly may have become your best friends, or at least guys you will reminisce with years from now about your exploits on the gridiron. And you get to go out there and play the game that you love at least one more time. That's the fun part about this. And I think the BYU comes into this one with a lot on its plate regarding what it needs to do to parlay this game into next season. The biggest thing I think for BYU would be getting a W in this game, would parlay them to an 11-win season, make them one of the premier teams in the Big 12. And I think have a lot of eyeballs looking at the pieces BYU has returning, combined with guys incoming off of missions, guys incoming from high school, and most importantly, guys coming in via the transfer portal. You're looking at a team in BYU that might be picked as a dark horse candidate to win the Big 12 title in 2025. That's what can happen if you win this football game. Now, you lose the game, guess what? There's a whole lot of, okay, BYU faded at the end of the season once again and couldn't get over the hump in a bowl game. There's a lot of chatter that's going to go both ways on this game, but I love the fact that it's going to get a whole lot of people talking. That's the best part about this, is it's going to have people examining this game. You look at the eyeballs that will come because of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, guys like Connor Pay, Tyler Batty, Jacob Robinson, who I already mentioned, captains for BYU, but also guys like Marque Collins, Isaiah Banya. They are going to have an increased visibility with NFL scouts, talent evaluators, GMs, team presidents, etc., because of who they're playing in this game. It is a platform that is going to be multifaceted and allow BYU to kind of show itself on one of the biggest stages outside of the college football playoff. And I, for one, fingers crossed, they put on a performance for the ages. It's been 36 years since BYU and Colorado last played. They played in the All-American Bowl, if I recall correctly, in Anaheim, California in 1988. Jason Chaffetz made, I believe, 2 field goals late in that one down there in Anaheim to lead BYU to a 20-17 victory. It was in some ways the coming out party for Ty Detmer as he replaced Sean Covey in the third quarter, ended up being the MVP of that game. And crazy to think that I was a year old at that time, and it's been all that time that these two programs, separated by one major mountain range, the Rocky Mountains, have not played football against one another. So I look forward to this. It's going to be a fun renewal of acquaintances. These two teams will play next season according to the schedules that have been laid out by the Big 12. So that could obviously build up a little bit of some juice for this game. Now, some of the key players on both sides will be not in that game next year, but the head coaches, the coordinators, barring something unforeseen, should be in place. So it can build up, I think, a nice rapport between these two programs. But most importantly, it's a big opportunity for BYU to finish the season with an emphatic statement that, yeah, we're that team that was 9-0 and ranked 6th in the country and was looking like they were on track to win the Big 12 title. Had a couple of things gone a couple of different ways. Very well could have been playing in the college football playoff. But circumstances being what they are, this is what you're playing for right now. Is a chance to go out and play maybe the best team. Best team is probably a strong term, but maybe the most noteworthy and eyeball attention-grabbing team in college football right now in the Colorado Buffaloes. And if you can go out there and win this game playing against guys like Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and the rest of the talent that Colorado brings to the table, you should be feeling pretty good about yourself if you're BYU. I'll give you my score predictions, some keys to the game as we wrap up this podcast here in just a little bit. But we're going to talk with a guy coming up next whose position group I believe has the single toughest job in this game. Those are BYU's cornerbacks. They have got to face a number of high-level wide receivers led by the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter. What is it going to take for BYU to hold up against such a powerful passing attack? Well, Jernaro Gilford will try and make heads and tails of it and explain that to you guys coming up next, right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Rocket Money. Now, Rocket Money is here to help you guys save money. And the way they do that is they can help you find subscriptions that you may have forgot about or you're paying for twice. That is where we all seem to be losing money, and we forget about some of these subscriptions we have. Rocket Money finds them, helps you guys cancel it. Think about it as having your personal assistant for your finances. More importantly, it is a personal finance app to help you find and cancel your one-on-one subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can actually grow your savings. Think about that. It's a win-win-win all the way around. It brings everything into one place, whether it's those subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features. So take advantage of it today and get on it today. It can save you all that money going into the new year. A lot of us have those goals that we want to save more money, have a little nest egg to rely upon. Well, Rocket Money could be that option for you guys. No more stressing about budgeting every month. They can help you accomplish your goals and do it with their app. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. Once again, that's rocketmoney.com/lockedon to get started. And one more time, just a reminder for you guys, check them out today at rocketmoney.com/lockedoncollege. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first view and or listen of the day. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday whenever you hear this and or watch it on YouTube. All right, so I mentioned right before we took a little bit of a break there about BYU needing to hold up against a pretty unrelenting Colorado passing attack. They, for all intents and purposes, are an air raid team. I know that they use the short passing game, as Kalani Sitake and Jay Hill have talked about, as more of an extension of their running game, but they throw the ball a lot. Shedeur Sanders loves to show off his arm. He loves to move around in the pocket, make big play after big play with his arm, and he is flanked by some really, really talented receivers, led most notably by the Heisman Trophy winner and Travis Hunter. But that's not discount guys like Jimmy Horn Jr. and others who are in that wide receiving core. BYU has got a really, really tough task to slow down Shedeur Sanders and this Colorado Buffalo's passing game. And they've got two senior cornerbacks in Jakob Robinson and Marque Collins, who are obviously going to be called upon, but guys like Evan Johnson, they're every guy that's available in this game, Maury Bamba, Trey Alexander, I'm thinking of guys like Jonathan Kabeya, the different cornerbacks BYU has right now, every one of them have to be on point in this game. If you fall asleep for even a split second, the talent, the speed, the overall prowess that this passing game possesses for Colorado could make you pay dearly in terms of touchdowns in a blink of an eye. So I'm hoping that BYU is ready to go. And a guy that's going to be coaching those guys up in the game is Jernaro Gilford. I had a chance to catch up with him ahead of this game, had a great chat about kind of balancing both the preparation for this bowl game, but also using the time to develop the young talent he's got in his room. And I already mentioned two of them, in Trey Alexander and Jonathan Kabeya. What is it like? How do you balance those two things? Well, here's Jernaro Gilford explaining that and a whole lot more right here on Locked On Cougars.
Coach Hill and Coach Kalani has done a great job as far as getting the young guys ready, getting the young guys reps as far as all this bowl prep. Yeah. And I think this has been very, very beneficial for those guys. Kalani has put emphasis on getting the young guys a ton of reps. We're fortunate enough to go to a bowl game. Everybody's not. So these young guys are getting a ton of reps. And it's taking a lot of reps off the vets. But at the same time, still getting them ready. So the young guys have gotten a ton of reps, getting them ready for spring ball next year.
Now, obviously, you have like Evan Johnson, who have played quite a bit this year, who figured to come back as well. It's also been beneficial for guys like that who already have proven production, but also still need to get ready for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Because even though he's played a lot, he's still behind. The Jacobs, the Marque Collins and stuff like that. So it's been very, very good for him to get those reps and see the different coverages, how to play them. Certain techniques and stuff like that. So he's just trying to get those things down because he will play, in the game next week. So
now it's kind of a unique time because the transfer portal's open. They're always recruiting and the like. How do you balance all that on top of all that we've already talked about?
Yeah. It's a busy time, but it comes with the territory. You know what I mean? We all know this December, January time is always,
insane.
It's a time crunch, but the great thing about our team, from top to bottom, they all know and they all welcome the guys coming in, and they always want to add guys to our family. Well, the right guys. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What is your transfer portal? I guess, do you have targets? What are you looking at transfer portal wise for your group?
Just the best guy available, the best guy that can fit our room, fit our program, fit the scheme, and stuff like that. Of course, we have a lot of young guys who are coming back who can definitely play. I think we might need to add a guy or two who can come in and help the young guys who can come and compete. My whole room knows, we're gonna compete every day, regardless of a class, freshman, senior. the best man for the job is always going to play. So.
Well, I talked to Fessy, and he kind of said the exact same thing. He said, I'm brutally honest with the guys. I'll tell them, hey, you'll have the first crack, obviously, because you're continuity in the program. But Absolutely. If I bring somebody in and they beat you out, it's just part of the deal.
It is what it is at that point. Yeah.
Is it same deal?
150%, you know, and you can talk to Marque about that. Ask him how it was in spring. Ask him how it was in fall camp before he finally broke the lineup, you know, and it took for some things to happen for him to do it, but I wasn't going to budge if he wasn't making the plays, if he wasn't doing everything the right way and doing everything better than everybody else. So that's just how we do it here.
Okay. Now, watching guys like Trey, also Jonathan, they've gotten some reps this year. Where have you seen them improve the most, I guess, during this period, getting ready for the bowl game?
You know what, just getting multiple reps.
Just getting those reps,
yeah,
okay.
And then getting meaningful reps,
okay.
You know, especially against our ones. It's always the thing to go against the Darius, the Chase, the Keelans, the Parkers, the JoJos, all those guys on a consistent basis. Okay. You know, instead of going 5 or 10 times in practice, now they get to go 30 and 40 times. So they definitely have to step up to the challenge and be more competitive, and they just strive for those things. So that's the good thing about those guys. They actually want to compete, and they look forward to those moments.
Now, this is going to be a rare game because the Heisman Trophy winner plays both sides of the ball.
100%.
Won the Blitnikoff Award as the best receiver as well. Yeah. So what's the allure of playing against Travis Hunter in this game for your guys?
I mean, you always want to know where you're at, right?
Okay.
I mean, so you get a chance to play against the top player in the country. I mean, on offense and defense, the receiver, the corner, the top quarterback in the country. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you wanna know where you're at, you want to play against guys that are going to the next level. Here you go. This is your chance. I mean, and what better opportunity do you have to play against? I mean, the top guys in the country. You know, are they gonna make plays? Absolutely. You know what I mean? They can play. They practice just like we do. But at the end of the day, you got to go. You got to compete, and when the opportunity comes, you gotta make plays.
You've played a lot of good quarterbacks this year, but Shedeur might be the best of the bunch. Mm-hmm. What do you see from him on film?
Everything. Arm, strong, can make every single throw, poised. As far as the pocket goes, doesn't throw a lot of picks, so he doesn't throw a lot of turnovers. You know what I'm saying? He'll throw the ball away. He'll find his outlets and the timing of the ball, just the speed of it.
Yeah,
it gets up on you fast. Yeah. You know, just the ball placement. You know, he puts the ball right where it's needed to be as far as the wideouts. Puts it in stride and stuff like that, and then you know he's athletic enough to beat you with his feet as well. You know, so it's gonna be a difficult challenge. You know, but at the end of the day, we gotta prepare and we gotta be ready for him.
Now there's a pretty pass-heavy scheme, but as Kalani talked about, a lot of that short passing game is kind of an extension of the run game. Mm-hmm. Do you look at that as like, hey, this is gonna be fun? A lot of passes coming my guys' way.
You know what? I mean, it's gonna be fun because it is a lot of passes. But at the end of the day, we got to be great tacklers. Yeah. You know, open field tacklers. We can't miss a lot of tackles because all their skill guys can run away from you and beat you. You know what I'm saying? So it'll definitely be fun because we have to cover, but at the same time we have to tackle. We have to make open field tackles. We have to get off blocks and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they'll come with a lot of perimeter screens and stuff like that to see if we can beat the block and see if we can make open field tackles, because if not, they're going to be they got a relay team over there, you know, that can really run. So we gotta be on our P's and Q's.
What's the best part about a bowl game from your perspective?
Mm-hmm. You know, just getting the reps. Okay. For the young guys, getting the reps and just another opportunity to play the game. At the end of the day, it's funny because I always talk to all my boys. I'm like, look, man, we train a full year, literally for 12 guaranteed opportunities. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, so when you think about it, we train 365 days for 12 opportunities, and we just get a chance to play a 13th game. So to me, that's the best thing about it, because you train so long for 12 guaranteed, and now you get to earn one more.
There you have it, Jernaro Gilford. Big thank you to him for taking the time, as always, to join us here on the podcast. And I think he's got a pretty good philosophy on how he's going about filling the transfer portal needs that he has, obviously upcoming. I expect that if, let's say, Maury Bamba, we already talked about this with the junior college rule, decides to come back for another year, that's a nice body to have back in the room. I still think BYU needs at least 2 cornerbacks out of the transfer portal. And Jernaro, knowing his reputation on the recruiting trail, he is turning over every proverbial stone and looking for every option available to him. And he's kind of been weird because you hear about all these other offers that go out from BYU in the transfer portal, the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, tight ends, etc. Have you heard anything about cornerbacks? I didn't think so because I haven't either. But don't mistake that for Jernaro Gilford not doing his homework, not doing his work. He really likes to work behind the scenes. He's a pretty, I want to say understated, but he's a very quiet but diligent worker and likes to kind of keep a low profile. He likes to kind of target guys he thinks will succeed at BYU because Jernaro, he knows what it takes to succeed at BYU. As a guy who came to BYU, was kicked out, came back, and was a star for BYU at cornerback, he knows everything that BYU requires of its student athletes, and he can speak to it better than almost anybody in that coaching staff because of his experiences in Provo. So I think I would trust that Jernaro, he is doing his absolute darndest to find the best talent available to him, but I'm hoping that he finds some good guys in that transfer portal, but more importantly, they put on a show with the guys that are currently in the room tomorrow against Colorado in that matchup. And obviously parlay, like I said, parlay this performance into a star, not a star, but a stellar offseason ahead of, I think, will be a very, very hotly anticipated 2025 season for the BYU football program. It should be a really, really interesting 9 months and change ahead. But I, for one, can't wait to see it all go down. I'm going to lament the fact that the BYU football season is over tomorrow night as soon as that final whistle blows. It really is going to be like, wow, we've just gotten through a crazy season, and now we've got, like I said, 9 months and change to get ready for the next one. It's crazy. We'll turn our attention to basketball and the like, but man, does football really ever go far from the mind? Not for me, it doesn't. I don't think many of you it goes very far either. But a big thank you, as always, once again, to Jernaro for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. All right, coming up next, we'll round out today's show by talking a little bit about another transfer portal edition I have not a chance to really dig into, and that's Andrew Gentry. But more importantly, we'll also get to our keys to the game. What is it going to take for BYU to notch a big win in the Alamo Bowl at the Alamodome tomorrow night? We'll get to that next right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action and do it with FanDuel, as they are America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers of FanDuel can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. You heard that right. $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. It's as simple as that. They have many ways for you to chalk up that W. You can bet on which players you feel like will score in what fashion in a game, the over-under totals for players yardage-wise. If you want to simply go money line, you think one team's going to win, you got all that and more available to you with our friends at FanDuel with a super simple and easy to use app. And the best part is you can, like I said, place any type of bet anytime you want and do it with our friends at FanDuel. So once again, visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. It's as simple as that. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen and or view of the day. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic out there. I will be in San Antonio. If you're making the trip to San Antonio, I'd love to see if I can have some time to meet up and say hello. I'll be staying on the Riverwalk. There's a media hotel. I think it's the Marriott Riverwalk is where we're staying. So if you're anywhere in that general vicinity, reach out to me. But I would love to meet up with you guys and at least say hello if I can't spend a ton of time chatting with you. But if you see me wandering around San Antonio, please don't hesitate to reach out and say hello, or inside the Alamodome, etc. Always appreciate you guys reaching out and talking. All right. So before we go on today's show, let's talk about Andrew Gentry's addition for BYU. Now, a couple of you also asked, well, Jake, did you see the whole kerfuffle about the downgrade in ratings from 24/7 Sports? Yes, I saw it. Yes, I saw what Jeffrey Fuller talked about. I've seen Drake Toll talking about it as well on Locked On Big 12. I've seen what Jeff Hansen has had to say on social media as well. I've read and kind of analyzed everything on that side of things. I don't think it's nothing, but I also don't think it's as big of a deal as many are making it out to be. I don't think this is some conspiracy theory out there. The simple fact of the matter is when you're a high-level 4-star talent and you don't produce at a program, even if it's a Michigan or in the case of a Carson Ryan, UCLA or Utah, you don't produce at the level that your 4-star rating coming out of high school indicated they expected you to. Well, guess what? You're going to get re-rated. And I think the biggest thing of 24/7 Sports is they learned that a lot of the transfer portal guys, they're transferring for a reason. And the reason they're transferring more often than not is that they're not necessarily as good as they were thought to be. I'm not trying to denigrate anybody that BYU's brought in, because I do think that Andrew Gentry, Carson Ryan, Anisi Purcell, on down the list, all the guys that BYU have brought in, I fully accept him to be in the mix to start for BYU as soon as next season. Hunter Clegg could be in that mix. Now, he's a little different because he never ultimately enrolled at Utah. He's more of a flip post-mission from the Utes to the Cougars. But you look at it, I think the simple fact of the matter is BYU is betting on these guys outperforming those ratings. So I don't think, like I said, it's a conspiracy theory by the 24/7 Sports people, ESPN, anybody else, to downgrade the Big 12 and to kind of throw egg on the face. I don't see that being the issue. I just think it's 24/7 Sports course correcting a little bit with regards. Man, I'm struggling today with how many guys were rated so highly coming out of high school and didn't produce at the level they expected to when they're at the programs they previously were at. It's simple as that. And I think Andrew Gentry, he comes to BYU, and I think he factors in as a starting tackle on paper right now for BYU. Yes, he has a foot injury that he dealt with that knocked him out after 2 starts for Michigan this past year, but he's been getting trained by some of the best offensive line coaches this side of the NFL at Michigan, and has done a very good job, I think, overall, kind of methodically waiting his turn. And then when he finally got his shot this year for Michigan, it's unfortunate that a foot injury befell him. And I hope that he's 100% healthy when he suits up for BYU, because right now, the way it looks, unless Caleb Etienne returns, you could be looking at Andrew Gentry being your starting left tackle next year. And if, let's say, Caleb Etienne does return, Andrew Gentry simply moves over to the right side and you're starting right tackle. I think that is the caliber that he is. And yes, he may be rated 86 after being a 90-plus 4-star athlete. He's a 3-star now, but he was a 4-star athlete previously. Guess what? BYU's history under Kalani Sitake suggests that 3-star guys will perform at a 4-star or 5-star level. And does it really matter what the ratings were at that point? I would argue that it's not. So I'm looking forward to seeing what a guy like Andrew Gentry can do in this BYU offense. And I think that he has got a big opportunity staring him in the face with 2 years of eligibility remaining to come in, and the third time was the charm for him in BYU. He spurned the Cougars out of high school. He spurned them after his mission. He was in Orem, Utah with Jim Harbaugh visiting him literally minutes from the BYU campus, and he went to Michigan. He's had a good, I think, run there. He was in a student bishopric on Michigan's campus, as I understand it. And it feels like he's coming to BYU with a point to prove. And I hope that he has that chip on his shoulder and goes out there and proves what he's capable of as a Cougar. Because if that happens, BYU is going to benefit from one of the better offensive linemen they've added in recent years, coming in and being that proverbial bull in a china shop. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's capable of doing. And I'll just say a public welcome to Andrew Gentry finally coming to BYU after all these years. Now, game at hand tomorrow night. 3 things for BYU in my mind to win this game. Number 1, win the turnover margin. Make Shedeur Sanders throw a couple of picks. Be willing to stick to your guys. If you're in BYU secondary, you've got to plaster yourself to these wide receivers and not allow them to get free, because Shedeur, he will extend plays until he absolutely has to get rid of the football, because he just loves to gun the ball in there and make hard throws look routine. BYU's pass rush has got to be on point. I want to see Tyler Batty and Isaiah Banya coming off the edge like bats out of hell. It's their final game in a Cougar uniform. Go out there, pin your ears back, and get after these guys. I want to see a reckless abandon from this BYU defense. Just get after it. It may be the final game for a guy like Jack Kelly. We heard that tidbit from Harrison Taggart. What's going to take for you to stick with us? And he says, who's they? Well, he may be leaving for the NFL. Go out there, play your finest game in a Cougar uniform, and do it against guys you may be seeing at the next level playing against you in the NFL. I want to see a lot from this BYU defense. They've got a lot to prove in this game. They got to be able to slow down that Colorado passing game. Number 2 thing, I want to see BYU unload the clip. And what do I mean by that? I want to see them unload every trick play that they've got in their arsenal. Why not? Why not throw them all out there for Aaron Roderick? Have some fun with it. Put 2 quarterbacks on the field. Run a QB pass backs. Run whatever you got. You've been practicing these all year long. They call them specials in BYU's offense. If you get to the down and distance you have for them, run it. This is a Colorado defense that has improved by leaps and bounds under their coordinator, Robert Livingston. So guess what? They're going to want to go out there and prove a point against the BYU offense. Why not change it up a little bit? Yes, you'll still try your bread and butter, your outside zone, the inside zones, a lot of slants. We're talking deep shots from BYU, but have some fun as well. Unload the clip. If you got special plays you've been holding on to all this time, let's see them. Let's see what you got. Put all your cards on the table, and let's just have some fun. Because once again, you got 9 months to scheme up new stuff for next year. Put it all out there. Throw it all out there. Kalani Sitake likes to talk about emptying the tank. That's what I want to see from BYU in this game. And final thing for me, I want to see a BYU team that goes out there with a point to prove. A lot of Cougar fans were really down on this team at the end of the season, and for good reason, because they were that close to the Big 12 title game. Well, if Jake Retzloff is right, and this is the People's Big 12 Championship, go put on a show. Give us the best performance you got and do it in the biggest game, television-wise, I think, of the season, and do it in your final game for a number of these players. I want to see BYU go out there and just prove a point and have some fun in this one. So what's my prediction? I'm expecting it to be a pretty high-scoring affair. I'm going to give BYU the edge just by a nose, though. I'm going to say BYU 37, Colorado 35. Don't ask me why. That's the number I've got in my head. So 37-35 is my prediction, and we'll see all break down and obviously have a full report for you guys from San Antonio after this game goes final tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Cougars. Thank you once again for making it your first view and or listen of the day. And as always, truthfully, thank you for all your support. Thank you for being everydayers with us right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.